Hello and welcome to the last lesson of Chapter 12. 12-6 is on the reasoning strategy of solving by graphing. In tonight's lesson, you're going to be able to solve problems by graphing.
Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Now this goes along very much so with the lesson 12-5 on the scatter plots. Alright, we're just taking this lesson a step further. So in last lesson we talked about, you're going to go ahead and make a scatter plot, plot those coordinates, give it a title. Tonight we're going to add something called a trend line when we do scatter plots. And what that is, it's just a line that's placed on the scatter plot. And again, a line is a nice straight line that follows the correlation of the data. So taking a look at this one, if I were to do a scatter plot, I want it to go through basically the middle of the data. So my scatter plot would look something like that. You want to put just as much data on top of the line versus the bottom of the trend line. All right, so that would be the trend line for that one. Now, if you were to do this one, well, it looks like this is a negative correlation, of course. All right, so it looks like I would just do like that. That would be my trend line on that one. And again, there's straight lines. You don't get to curve them with the data. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started, jump right in. It says use the data in the table below. Suppose this year there are 16 wolves on the island. Predict how many moose there would be on this island. So it's talking about Isle Royale populations. And they tell us here for the year starting in 1982 all the way to 1999. And you're looking at the wolf population all the way to the moose. Now looking at it right away, I can tell, well, the wolf population is a lot smaller than the moose population, just looking at those numbers. For the wolf population, it's in the 14s to 20s. Well, the moose, it goes from 700 all the way up to like 1800, or no, actually 2400. All right, so we have a lot of data to put together. So we're going to have to do this with the scatter plot. That's what they want. So our first job is to put together a scatter plot. Now, remember when we do these, we want to have them in order of pairs. And I saved this time. I actually wrote them all over there for us. So yay, little less work for us. All right, and so when we do this, we're going to do the same steps that we did yesterday. All right, we're going to go ahead and just label the information. So here, let's see, the first one is the wolf population. So wolves are on the bottom, mooses along the side. All right, and I'm going to label my points. So X is always the first one, so it goes from about 14 all the way up to 25. So let's see. Maybe I want to go by twos. Yeah, why not? So 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26. I could keep going, 28. But I don't think I have to go any further. There we go. So that's my wolf population piece. Now I have to do from here. Taking a look, I go all the way from 500 to 2400. So I think on this one, I'm probably going to want to go by maybe 300. Let's see if that'll work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm just counting how many lines there are, so I would know. All right. Yeah, that should be pretty close. I'm going to go ahead by 300. So 300, 600, 9, 12. And again, you might not choose to go with the same scale, and that's okay. All right, that's more than fine. It's what you think would be easiest for you to work with. All right, and let's see. And I said I'd go to 2400, and I actually made it past that. So there we go. All right, so I have my points. I'm going to put my title right away, so I don't forget. So this was Isle Royale population of the animals. There we go. So I have all the sides. Now I go ahead and just graph those coordinates. So at 14, 700. And again, you can do this at your own rate as well. All right. Just want to make sure we get all the data. So 23 and 900. 24 and 811. 22 and 1062. 20 and 1025, and 1,380. Well, that might be a little bit high. It's a lot harder to do this on the smart board here. All right, 12 and 1,653. 11 and 1,397. 15 and 1,216. And again, you can keep doing this. If you want, you can pause me as I'm going through this. And then at the end, we can go ahead and just check our answers to each other's. All right, so if you want, pause me now. And then when you're all done, just come back and I'll finish this out. Or mute me as you're finishing yours. I'm okay with either one, just whatever works best for you. All right, so I have my data plotted and it looks like this. Now for the most part, all right, I did my scatter plot. All right, now I have to sketch my trend lines. Now looking at this, it looks like for the most part, as the wolf population is decreasing, the other one, or excuse me, as the wolf population is increasing, it looks like the moose population decreases. So it looks like it's negative correlation. Now what I want to do is I want to make my trend line now. Again, that straight line that kind of goes right through the data. All right, and what I would suggest you do is you need to do it lightly in pencil first. That way you can take a look at it and then erase it if it's not quite right. All right, and then if you are happy with it, darken it. Now for me, I'm going to do my best here. It's not going to be perfect, but I'm going to say it looks something like that. All right, so this is my trend line. I'm pretty happy with it. There's some data below. There's a few points like right on the line. And of course, we are going to have some data like this here and this down here that seems really far away. But that is because those would be considered outliers. They're not quite fitting with the rest of the trend. All right, so I have my green trend line here. All right, so now what I want to do is actually use that trend line to figure out or predict how many moose there are if there are 16 wolves. And what I do is I find the 16 wolves on here and I go up, all right, to where I find the green trend line. And I go over this way. And looking at the trend line, if there's about 16 wolves, it looks like there might be 1,400 moose. So you can use your trend line to predict. You just, again, use the information given and then just find where it would fit on the trend line. All right, now here's a quick little piece that I'm just going to talk to you about. It says, will there always be a trend line on scatter graphs? Explain. All right, well, we talked about 3 different types of correlation. We talked about positive, where it looks like as one increases, the other decreases. Negative, where one increases and the other decreases. And no correlation, where it's all scattered about. All right, for positive correlation, yes, there would be a trend line because the data seems to follow a trend. It seems to be increasing. While here, again, negative correlation, there seems to be a trend. You can draw this line because as one is increasing, the other decreases. Now here, well, I could do that, but it doesn't work because there is really no trend that's happening. My data is just everywhere. So when you have no correlation, you will not have a trend line because it's not possible. There's no trend happening. All right, so you have to just keep that in mind. With positive and negative correlation, yes, you can make a trend line then predict. No correlation, you can't. All right, so you have a great night. I will see you in class tomorrow. Adios.